Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and it's our favorite time of the week. We're taking a look at the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves. Let's check them out. All right, first up today, we have got our latest exclusive, the MKM Goccia with the red lava carbon fiber handles. Really cool knife, really great lines to it. Now, pumped up just a little more with this cool material. Coming in about $250 for this particular guy. We got a 3.35 inch blade, M390 steel. Nice upswept tip right there. Fairly thick, it's not a super thin slicey knife. You can put this, or you can feel confident kind of pushing this a little harder than you might a thinner blade. And the handles are gonna feel really good doing it. Now, the standard Goccia has sort of a ripple pattern. Like if you were to have dropped a drop into the pool of water right here, you see that ripple pattern go out. We actually left this one, this exclusive version, smooth. So I don't think you're really giving up too much in terms of texture here, in terms of how it affects your grip, because the swells are just right and it nestles into the hand very nicely and even more comfortably, I think, than the original. Lockup, we've got the inset liner right here. We've got a deep carry pocket clip, which is a right side only clip in this case, and that matches up finish-wise with that nice robust back spacer there, kind of backing up the high-end robust combination of aesthetics right here. Action, haven't talked about that yet, so we might as well. Ball bearings in ye olde pivot. Really snappy, really excellent action. Love the shape, like I said. I love kind of just the slicing profile of the blade itself. Again, not a super thin, super slicey blade, but just that motion of cutting with this is going to be extremely, extremely satisfying. Speaking of extremely satisfying, check out this guy right here. The TM Hunt Big Bear Bowie is just plain awesome. Just look at this guy. We've got a 9.5 inch blade, 01 steel, 1/4 inch thick, full flat grind in this case. I love that really long clip point on this shape. And we've got a handmade knife right here, so the price is gonna reflect that a little bit. $480 for the least expensive versions. We have right now, there's a few. We've got some inlaid handle versions, some versions with some machining on there as well. But it's the same handle shape if you're familiar with Todd Hunt's M18, the big wilderness fixed blade that we showed a few weeks ago. Same handle here, extremely comfortable. Might remind you a little bit of the Becker handles out there. It's not exactly the same, but it's got similar vibes to it. If you appreciate the capability of the M18, but you want something with a more conventional blade, this is the guy to check out. Certainly has a lot of chopping power, but it doesn't feel, I mean, you feel the weight of it, but it doesn't feel like it's gonna drag you down. There's a nimbleness to it. Definitely could get in there and do some fine carving if you needed to use this as kind of a one-tool option. Just impressive. You got the lanyard there at the back, the great feel in the hand, the leather sheath too. I mean, just the value of this sheath alone, if you were to go to a leather maker and have this sheath custom made right here, you're probably gonna pay at least 80 to 100 bucks for that right there. Very nice. Oh, very, very nice. We don't have a whole lot of these though. We do have a few. I think about a dozen maybe are going live today. So if you want one, I wouldn't wait around too long. All right, next up, it's a little bit of an apology to you, our viewers. The Medford M48. Got some new ones in just recently. I showed this from our previous batch in a few videos back, a few videos ago, and completely failed to say anything at all about the fact that this knife, the M48, was named for the Sherman tank, which is why you get the tank tread stuff here. It's why you get some other little decorative details. It's why you have the 4 stars here, because General Patton was a big fan of that tank. Maybe getting some of the details a little bit muddled here, but I'm very sorry that I completely neglected to mention any of that.
Patton would be very displeased.
Well, it's a good thing I'm beyond his reach at this point.
So you think.
Thomas, ladies and gentlemen. Debut comment for the day. In any case, I don't mind showing it again because it is a really, really cool knife. $555 for these guys, so they're not cheap, but what you're getting is something, it's both like and unlike any other Medfords out there. It's not, it's funny because a lot of Medford designs you could say are like overbuilt like a tank, and yet this one named for a tank certainly is built exceptionally tough, but it doesn't have that same kind of overbuilt for overbuilt's sake that some of the other knives do. I really like it. Aluminum on the front and titanium on the back with the frame lock there. We've got an S35 VN blade, almost 4 inches in length, just under that. And you've got the Magnus tip going on here, which essentially you've got a hollow grind going on, and rather than curling the grind up as you follow, to follow the belly here, just comes straight out. So as it gets sharpened and the tip here ground down with that little kind of abrupt swedge at the end, you have a thicker edge here near the tip for more stability rather than the thinner metal behind the edge back near the back where you're going to be doing more of your general purpose cutting. Neat little hybrid thing there, and it's a way to get that stronger tip construction without having to resort to something like a Americanized Tonto profile, which is also very cool. The clip is really cool. It's a deep ride clip, and it actually mounts from the opposite side of the rest of where the clip sits. You can see right there, nestles into the front side, really cool, and wraps around the back. And here you've got another little nod to Pat, and you got his Bull Terrier Willie there on the end of the clip. Now you can say, is that a Willie in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
I'm not going to do that.
Jury's out whether that'll make it into the edit or not, but I felt like I had to make the dad joke anyway. But no matter how you want to describe these knives, they're really cool. They're worth checking out. And we've got some new ones in right now.
For the time being.
Well, right now. Now is now, but then is not now anymore. Unless it's now, in which case it won't be then.
Let's pick this up later.
Deal. All right, next up, we've got the new versions of the Benchmade Claymore, which are now available without the serration. So if you want that plain-edged blade with this design, you can now get it. $207 for these guys. 3.6-inch blade, CPM D2 blade steel, not your normal run-of-the-mill D2. This is the particle metal version of that stuff. So you're still going to get the same kind of edge retention you should expect out of a normal D2, but it's going to be significantly tougher and might even be a bit easier to sharpen as well, since the big carbides are not so big in the particle version of it. Handles kept lightweight with Grivery, but you've got some pretty robust liners going about halfway back the blade. So it doesn't feel dainty, but it doesn't feel like it's going to weigh you down either. Safety switch here. You can use it in the open or the closed position. You've got front toward enemy, the FTE Morse code there at the front, like the Claymore mine. And it makes sense for an automatic knife too. Push that button, snaps out really nicely. Deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible. I really like this knife, and not just for kind of a tactical scenario. For an EDC automatic knife, something you're going to carry every day, I think this has a lot going for it. The lightweight certainly helps with that. The blade shape here, just that versatile drop point profile with that high flat grind. It's one of those shapes that's good for just about any type of use. And I don't need to tell you what your everyday uses are. You know that better than I do, but chances are that this blade is going to pull it off. Next up, we have got the new TRX versions of the Buck 112 Slim Pro. We saw the 110 versions of these roll in a few weeks back. Now we have the Ranger. A little bit more of an EDC friendly size for a lot of folks, perhaps, with the 3-inch blade here, just under $100 for these guys. For that, you've got that 3-inch blade with S30V blade steel, and contrasting to the classic version of the 112, you've got a straight clip point here rather than the aggressively scooped clip point. You have got G10 handles, green, orange, or black right now, and you have got Torx construction. That is one of the upgrades that you get with the TRX versions of the Slim Pro versus the standard Slim Pro. The other is the slightly different deep carry pocket clip. It's not as wide, it's a bit thinner, a bit more subtle day to day. Those two improvements right there, I think, are what people were most asking for to change from the original Slim Pros. They wanted that clip to be less gaudy, and they wanted the adjustability of the Torx construction, not just here at the pivot, but also along the back as well. So you can fully adjust this. That's everything a modern 112 should be. This week also brings us a new colorway to the case Marilla. Comes in about $136, and these frame lock flippers are made right alongside these slip joints in the case factory, which we'll get to another one here shortly, which is pretty cool. They're doing a pretty good job kind of entering this segment of the market. We've got a 3.4-inch blade. You got S35 VN steel with that stone-washed finish, and now a forest green aluminum handle. We calling it forest green? We're calling it OD green on the website, but I'd argue it's a bit more of a forest color.
I'm gonna call it David's shirt green.
Oh no, is it blending right in?
A little bit.
So it's kind of it's camouflage, but not really. You still got the black there. Anyway, black G10 inlay on the front gives you a bit of traction if you don't like the idea of a slick, not that it's slick, but a smooth aluminum handle. Pocket clip is deep carry, and that is reversible for either side. Frame lock, like I mentioned, you've got the lock bar insert there to provide the lockup with the tang, and that's going to be your over travel stop as well. Flipping action works well. It's a great shape. Yeah, really nice. It's kind of very of the moment right now because you've got a lot of kind of overall arcing belly to the blade, and yet the tip is remaining very kind of needle-like in its execution. Very, very useful. And of course, they're still doing the classic slip joints really well. This is one of my favorite of their recents. It is a medium Stockman, comes in about $68 with the corncob jig harvest orange color or dye in the bone. I love the character of that dye on this particular one. And then of course, being a Stockman, you get your standard clip blade along with a sheep's foot and a small penknife blade in this case, as opposed to a spay blade. Just a great little complement of everyday tools. Case is true sharp stainless in this case, very easy to take care of and very beautiful to look at. All right, next up, actually I'll skip around here a little bit. We've got some new slip joints from Schrade Old Timer, which may or kind of surprised me a little bit in that mostly they tend to use pretty basic materials, but these new slip joints, this new series, which they're calling the Heritage Series, is actually using D2 blade steel for really reasonable prices. This 2-blade trapper right here is coming in about $33. For that, you've got the spay blade there, or Thomas, is that a little reverse Tonto to you?
Absolutely.
And you've got your long clip point, your kind of California clip point blade shape here as well, in high polished D2 blade steel. High polish, hard to do on a D2, honestly, sometimes. So you're getting that here, and you're getting really good edge retention for your $32. Laminated wood handles. It's kind of got a black pack of wood, or a, not quite black, but kind of like a trans black look to it. I think it looks great, quite honestly. Walk and talk is decent. It's not top line. It's not quite case quality, but it's definitely a good value right there. You can also get it in a few other blade styles, including this Bruin lockback. $25 for this guy. For that, sub 3-inch D2 blade. It's a nice subtle drop point shape, hollow ground on all of these blades. Same handle material, looks real good. And of course, being a laminated wood like that, it stands less chance of shrinking, cracking, warping, etc., like a standard non-stabilized wood could do. And then you got the lockback as well. Feels pretty decent. Yeah, and dude, these things are, like I said, you're not gonna be like impressed like you would with like a $75 knife, but the value here I think is undeniable. Absolutely. Next up, same deal here. Heritage Series fixed blade, a 5-inch D2 full tang fixed blade for just under $50. That is a lot of knife for $50. Again, you got that high polished finish. This is gonna be just a great camp knife, big hunting knife if you want a larger hunting knife. This has got camper written all over it, I think. Love the handles, look great. The bit of texturing here, kind of like jimping in a way on the wood parts of the handles, doesn't get in the way. Doesn't feel like it's gonna pinch badly, but it does give you a little bit more surface area for grip. A little bit of jimping there at the front. You got protection from your finger slipping forward. Big hands are going to have no problems using this. I mean, you've got a very large index finger section here. My hands and my fingers are both a little slightly larger than average, and it feels like bigger hands would still be able to use this quite well, but it doesn't feel too big for my hands. Really hard trick to pull off when you're, involving finger grooves like that. And then even the sheath comes in. Pretty impressed with this, especially again, considering the money that this is a $50 package. Just simple leather, yes, but the edges are finished real nicely. It's welted quite well. Welted well. Retention strap. 50 bucks, you guys. Man, that says something to me for sure. All right, next up, kind of similar in a way to these old timers, is another knife with a steel you might be surprised to find on it, and that's some of the lightweight imported affordable Spydercos. The new versions of the Resilience Lightweight with the S35 VN blades are now in stock. Awesome premium steel at a not a necessarily affordable price, but a very attainable price, not a premium price point anymore. $117.60 for these guys. For that, you've got a 4.2 inch blade of S35 VN, and it's broad, so it's a big hunk of material and processing cost on that blade right there. Full flat grind, awesome slicer, not too heavy for its size. Let's see, what are we dealing with here? 4.4 ounces. Check out how much steel you're getting there for 4.4 ounces right there. That's quite impressive. Plenty of grip. I love the color on the blue handles there. Makes me happy when you see some stuff that's not another black handled knife. Man, it just works so well. 4-position pocket clip, liner lock, edge that comes all the way back to the finger guard there, so you're really maximizing and getting everything possible out of that blade length. For a hard-working knife for this amount of money, this is honestly going to be pretty hard to beat. But of course, there are still the 8CR series stainless versions of these for half or less than half the price if you like the design, but don't feel like reaching quite so high. But on that note, the new versions of the Persistence Lightweight are now in stock, coming in about 46 bucks with the black FRN and the 8CR blades. 2.8 inches on the blade length, so it's under that 3-inch mark. Take it just about anywhere. Same great things about that previous knife apply here too. You've got the edge going all the way back. You've got plenty to hold on to on this knife, actually. Some small knives, it's hard trick to pull off sometimes. Maybe that's not quite the right way to describe it, but you don't always see smaller knives dedicating themselves to have a big, full working grip like this knife does. It's always good to see. 4-position clip, liner lock, one-hand opening is real easy with that opening hole right there. Great edge and blade geometry. What's not to love? Speaking of good, affordable working knives, the Wharncliffe bladed versions of most of the Byrd lineup actually are now in. I got one of these smaller versions here, the Robin 2 lightweight, comes in just over 30 bucks. And we've got the Harrier, we've got the Caracara, we've got the Meadowlark, all with your Wharncliffe blades, all with a plain edge or with a fully serrated blade like this small one right here. I really like this Robin actually. It's similar in size to something like the Dragonfly from the full fat Spyderco lineup, but it's a little bit chunkier. And if you want the slimness of the very lightweight nature of the Dragonfly, no problems there. No, I'm not poo-pooing that at all. But this one, again, for a small knife that has a fuller feeling grip, it's not as full as the previous knife we just looked at, but this is a solid utility knife right here. 2.35 inches on the blade length, full flat grind, with or without the serrations, 8CR stainless, 4-position pocket clip, mid-mounted back lock. Great ambidextrous option. It's going to work for just about anyone out there because of all those features put together. And it just feels super solid, especially when you consider it is a $30 knife. Next up, we're going to keep the small utility knife thing going with new versions of the CRKT Razelcliffe flipper. Now available, rather than the all stainless steel handle construction, with G10 on the front side, cuts a little bit of weight and gives you a little bit of extra grip as well. Backside is still the stainless steel frame lock, and we're at like 30 bucks for these guys right now. Blade length, just over 2 inches, 8CR stainless on this, I believe, yep. And you've got 2 edges. You've got the main edge and you've got the leading chisel edge, that Razel design right there on the front. Gives you a very aggressive tip. It's essentially double-edged right here, and you can use it for chiselly, scrapey things, almost in like the opposite angle as you could with like a Tonto, for example. Nestles into the fingers really nicely. It's about a 3-finger grip, but it's broad enough that you still feel secure on it. And then you've got, I think, ball bearings in this particular pivot, yep, and flipping action to go along with it, so your one-hand opening is very easy. The lockup is very nice, and the pocket clip is very nice too. All smooth surfaces here, so it's going to be nice and accommodating when you go in and out of the pocket. Nothing's going to be too grippy or shreddy on that front. All right, next up, stick with a small knife, but we're going to go more premium here at the end of the video. Terrain 365 P38, and this is the manual, fully manual version. We've seen this before in their dual action automatic that you could use with the push button automatic action, or use it just like a conventional thumb stud knife. This is the all manual version. You don't have to worry about any sort of legal complications or anything from the spring aspect of the knife. $375 for these guys, and the bulk of that you're paying for the exotic blade material here. This is a dendritic cobalt material. Very hard, very long lasting edge. It's not steel, so it's something really special feeling, but it's still a very useful shape overall. 2.75 inches on that blade. A little bit stubby. It's not a razor thin slicer. We've talked about that a little bit in this video already, but it feels really nice. Nice chamfered edges. Plenty to hold onto on this handle. You can see it's not a slim carry there either. You've got plenty to grip, which can be a good or bad thing depending on what your priorities are. The milled pocket clip is really nice. I like the carbon fiber inlays as well. I like the little glow in the dark button, thumb studs on it. That's a cool touch. And it's got some nice free floating drop shut action too, if that's your thing, which also helps it pop out into the open position really nicely. One last thing I'll mention about this, the handle shape here. Again, we talked about this Spyderco Ambitious earlier, having a relatively small blade, but still having a full grip going on. You get that with this Terrain 365 as well, and it's a shape that's going to work for a broad range of hand sizes too, thanks to its relatively neutral characteristics. Yeah, I love that. I love when that is able to be pulled off without just looking like kind of a blobby handle, which can happen sometimes on other designs, but I don't think it happened here. All right, last but not least, I've got another Shin Cutlery kitchen knife for you. This is the XinCraft Chef's Knife, a 9-inch acid-etched VG10 core Damascus blade on this guy. Very, very cool look. $219 for these guys, and you can get it with the fancy blade material here, or you can get it with a Sandvik 14C 28N for the same amount of money in these cases. Your edge stability is actually probably going to be a little bit tougher on those versions rather than the Damascus here, but VG10 and your 14Cs and AEBLs, closely related to the 14C, those have both been steels that have been used extensively on kitchen cutlery for years, so I've got no qualms about this performance-wise. So don't take it that way. Really cool faceted handles. We've got the buffalo horn leading ferrule, call it a ferrule for lack of a better term in this case, and a nice little red G10 spacer there. Really interesting. You might look at this and think, oh, that's not going to be a comfortable handle to hold. Well, it actually is not too bad when you grip it like so, but it's a kitchen knife, so you're not going to be actually gripping it like so anyway, are you? You're going to be pinching right in front of that handle, and your fingers are just kind of going to wrap around that back end as opposed to really gripping down on it. And it feels good in that kind of situation as well. The balance is really nice too. I mean, check that out. I could hold it tight, but I'm letting it kind of float, and it's not really wiggling around balance-wise on you. Really cool. Blade stock, super thin. Edge, also whisper thin right there. This is not a heavy-duty German chef's knife that you're gonna break down a chicken carcass with. This is a precision cutter. Got a little bit nicer of a rock chop than the Shin we looked at last week. All the edges where you're gonna be gripping with your hands are super comfortable. Very impressed with this line of cutlery. All right, that's all I've got to show you this week. Make sure to let me know what you thought of the knives down there in the comments, and to get your hands on any of them, we'll leave links in the description to take you over to KnifeCenter.com. Make sure you sign up for our Knife Rewards program while you're there, because if you're gonna buy one of these knives today, you might as well earn some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas over there. We're signing off. See you next time.